And welcome to another episode of Football the Pod. I'm your host, Commissioner Ben. All right, we are back for episode 2. Just after the most exciting activity of the year, of course, our draft, with listening to Christine make a sandwich a close number 2. And now the morning after our draft, it is early Thursday, September 4th here in Canada. It's all right. Already time for the real football season to begin, which I can't believe. That's totally crazy. And before we move to the realm of football predictions, to football reality, we must declare our presumptive league champion based on the draft results, since we all know you win your draft at the league. Win your draft at the league. Win the league at the draft. That is what I meant to say. Of course, I'm joking. But as first, before we get into knowing who did win the league at this pod, which is what this podcast is all about today, we will, of course, begin with just a tip with Commissioner Ben. All right, well, the draft is over. The excitement is done. Let this pod act as draft closure. And after today, we'll quickly move on to forgetting about the draft and figuring out how to win each week of the season. And the best way to do that is either play all Packers if you're Brent, or to take in some expert info, not just from me on this pod, of course, but from some of the many great shows and articles out there. The classics remain. We've got the fantasy footballers who are always fun. And, well, now the Yahoo pod, where our beloved Justin Boone has now moved to. But there are also some awesome pods from across the pond, especially 5 Yard Rush, the best fantasy football podcast from the UK, without a doubt. So don't forget to take in some expert info this year alongside your own scouting and armchair expertise so that you can try your hardest to beat us all and win the league. And that was just a tip with Commissioner Ben. And, well, if you're watching on YouTube, I've already alluded to it. You can already see him here. So let's just bring in our incredibly special guest. I am super stoked to welcome him back for the 3rd year in a row. We have actual fantasy football pro, Adam Murf. Murfit. How are you going? How is it going, Murf? So awesome to have you out here.
I love doing this show, man. When you reached out, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Let's do this. 3 years in a row. Hat-trick ball, I feel part of your league without actually having not met most of you or see how the results go until we do this show. So I don't know how I do every year. But yeah, no, I think it's amazing. Football's upon us. I feel like this year, it was weird. When we got to the start of preseason and camps, I was like, man, it's gone really slow. And then I just feel like from then to now, it's warp speed, and it's like football's back tonight, and it is insane. I almost don't feel ready, although I've been drafting for 187 consecutive days. I still feel like I'm not ready, which I don't know how that's possible or not possible. But that's fine, and it's great, and it's a pleasure to be on and talking about this league with some phenomenal people, and getting to do some tropes and some roasting. It's always fun to do that as well.
That's how it all started, right? And so, yeah, now things have gotten way more intense. It's almost unbelievable, but hey, we still got to get back to the basics, the classic roasts of what everyone in your league does.
We're here for it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's awesome to have you here. But let's. I'm gonna jump in with a question for you. I mean, all right, you just talked about 187 straight days of draft. That's totally wild. But I mean, you commish more leagues than anybody I know. And also, I got to shout out, you do an awesome job raising money for Crohn's and Colitis UK each year. So, huge props for that. But what is one thing this year in fantasy that has been different? Maybe you've noticed, I don't know, the way drafts have gone, or anything you want to point out after so many years now doing this. Anything different about this year?
There's different things every year. I'm going to go with 2. One, I think, is definitely more this year than any in the previous 4 or 5. And then one that's a subtle, it's been a subtle change that all of a sudden has smacked us in the mouth this year. So the one that really stands out is the running back depth is a lot more clear than ever before. If you have been listening to fantasy football content over the last sort of 2 years, you've had this sort of zero RB, hero RB, RB dead zone stuff that gets sort of piped around and banded around because it's hip happening and cool. I think now we're at a point where running backs are just, and you see it in your draft, it's deep, man. There's some good running backs you can get quite late in drafts. I mean, there's starting running backs in your draft going in the 8th round. So you look at that and you think, hey, like it is deep this year. There isn't a running back dead zone. So I think that's the first sort of real change is we finally got this sort of real quality. And then the one I think that's been sort of creeping in more and more is the dynasty best ball bias in drafting.
Oh, for
There's
sure.
definitely a lot more of a need for people to do stacking, which is getting multiple players from the same team. In redraft, there's definitely a bias towards older players. Older player ADP keeps seeming to decline every year to the point where they're just values every year. Um, I think that's a thing that's been going on, I think, since 2020. But this year, I think it's really sort of smacked us in the mouth and gone, yeah, people really won't draft running backs in redraft if they're over the age of 28. And personally, I think that's a little naive and a little dumb. Because you don't need them for next year. You just need them till January. So like we're saying they're too old, but in 4 months' time, they're still going to be, unless they have a birthday, the same age.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah.
not a long period of time that we need these players. And I get that there's like injury concern and all this sort of stuff. But yeah, I just got a breaking news alert, and then this is just funny because this is like when I do pods, this stuff happens.
Let's hear it.
Nick Benito and the Broncos have reached a 4-year, $120 million contract extension. That's a lot of money for Nick Benito. Like credit to him because he has done really well the last 2 years. But he's the highest non-paid quarterback in Broncos history.
Oh wow, that's an
Which is
impressive
mad.
number. Then
Like,
yeah, think of all the players they've had on that team.
yeah, and you'd say Nick Benito. Like, I mean, he's a good player. Like, I'm not knocking him. Like, and credit to him. But wow, that's a big deal. So yeah, sorry, that just literally came through as I was talking.
Breaking news. Here we go. Yeah.
Now you get an idea when we're recording this, what time.
Yeah.
It's the insights of how things work. But yeah, no, I think that's kind of the big thing for me this year is the age thing.
Yeah. Great point. I mean, it's funny. Even most people in our league are not doing best ball drafts, at least as far as I know, and only one or two are involved in dynasty leagues. But even though they influence the rankings so much, even it seems like all the older guys get completely pushed down, and the rookies. It was funny watching the trend of the rookies this year. Like I've been doing best ball drafts all summer, and it was like the rookies compared to last year, we had like all the hype, like especially wide receivers, right? And they were like right off the bat, they were first, second rounders. And it was not at all the case this year. They started maybe the earliest was like Ted McMillan, like in the 5th round. I don't even think he was starting that early. He was like a 7th rounder at the beginning of the year, and like Ibuka all the way down in like the 12th or something like that. And then all the rookies, just like nobody's played any games yet, and they just get launched up the draft boards by the end of it. And so then they're going way high, all the rookies way high in our draft. And it's like, oh man, if only we had drafted this team like 4 months ago. Look at the value that we would have had on the draft board. But that's a great transition to get into our actual draft breakdown. You are here to break down our draft, to see who had the biggest hits and the biggest misses and make that prediction, well, for 4 months from now. And, you did this last year. I got to give you a quick reminder of some of the big hits and, some misses from last year as well. It's impossible to say exactly what's going to happen. We will cut injuries out of that. Started off, all right, so last year we did a more detailed round by round. We're going to zoom out a little bit this year, but you had some awesome hits. You had Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, as a huge hit as a star first round pick. That was obviously a great call. Marvin Harrison Jr. in round 2. You had him as a bust. Great call there. Lamar in round 3. Kamara in round 4. And Kittle in round 5 were all hits for you as players who are going to succeed. And Chris Godwin in round 6, you called him as the steal of the draft which could not have been more correct until he got injured. But blocked an injury out. He was the wide receiver 2 on the season in average points per game still. And so those are all great calls. Got to, bring you back down to earth a little bit with some of your misses. And hey, everybody missed the crazy running back resurgence last year, especially for older running backs like you're talking about, with Saquon and Derrick Henry in round 1. You called them out as bad picks. I would not have taken them either, but turns out, obviously, we all know how that season went. Some of the best players in the league to have were these older, early round running backs like Saquon and Derrick Henry, and some wide receivers too. Drake London and Mike Evans in round 2 were quite good picks as well, but you can't get them all right. But let's see if you can this year. So let's fire through it. I'm going to start sharing our draft board, and we are going to go through, starting off with the best picks of the first 2 rounds. So zooming out, the first round was a little bit, it's hard to avoid the chalk in the first round, which is totally cool. So let's zoom it out. I want you to give me your best pick or picks, if you have a couple to highlight, of the first round to start things off. First 2 rounds.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a few here, and I'll caveat that really there isn't any major shocks here in terms of who has gone. And there's no great reaches, and there's maybe 1, 2 reaches, maybe actually, but there's no great slides. So it's it is pretty chalky. What I would say is, first 4 picks, probably a little surprised to see Jefferson in the mix, but fine. The running backs, fine. Don't have a real big issue with it's not the order I would have them, but fine. I think the first inflection point of this draft is the 1-6, which is Christian McCaffrey. Now, I'm in on Christian McCaffrey this year. I love this as this bold opportunity pick of, if he gets back to where he has been and he's healthy, like he is healthy right now, he's probably the healthiest 49er on the roster.
Yep.
Then I love this pick in the sense of, if he delivers and he's healthy all year, it's a really great, high-end pick. But it is a risk and reward, but I love that little bit of risk in round 1. Jefferson at 1-7 feels a steal. So there's some really good picks in here. I don't think there's anything too crazy in round 1. I think Drake London, which we'll get to in the other side. So if I had to call the best picks, and it's kind of hard because it is chalky, I'd say Christian McCaffrey for the boldness of taking him at the 1-6. I think I'm doing that, so I like it a lot. I love Kyren Williams at the 2-11. I feel that's tremendous value there as well. And I would say that 90% of these picks are pretty fair, and there's not many sort of picks I look at and go, ooh, okay. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Those are the 2 that I stand out and go. It's hard because I can't give you Trace's 101 as the best pick, even though he's the right.
Of course not. No, yeah. That's a chalk. I wanted to. Why not start things off with the 101? And of course, I will. I couldn't bring myself to taking Bijan, even though if I think that would have been perhaps the right thing to do. All right, there we go. CMC, Justin Jefferson, of course, a steal at 107, and Kyren Williams. I was hoping he would get one more pick to me, but that did not happen. So let's flip the script here. Were there any just, terrible picks, or even your worst pick of the first 2 rounds?
I have 3. And Drake London in round 1 to me feels a bit crazy. I don't love that. That's 4. I've just seen another one. Josh Jacobs at the 112. I just have concerns over Josh Jacobs. I just can't really bring myself to take him in the second round.
114, it is a 14-team draft, so longer rounds. But no, yeah, it is. It does seem a bit early. I agree.
On the preface of ADP, it's okay. I just don't love it personally. Yep. It's a preference. Chase Brown there. I'm just not convinced that the rushing volume is that elite, and there's the players after him. Taking Chase Brown over Ashton Jeanty, Jonathan Taylor, Kyren Williams just feels weird to me.
I can't believe that GNT went that late.
Yeah, I can't believe he went that late. That feels great. I mean, it's almost like I should have probably put that as a value as well. As a great pick because he's an auto smash there, but there is that risk of what is he and how good are the Ravens, but the Raiders. But I still think fine. the picks, yeah. The other one that kind of stands out to me as a bit wonky um is Chuba Hubbard. I just do we really think Carolina are going to win a lot of games this year? Because I don't. So they're going to be a negative game script, and I know that he's a good running back, and I know he did well last year, but we're taking him over like Kyron Williams, over Kenneth Walker, over James Conner, over Alvin Kamara, over James Cook, over Tony Pollard. I can't get there. I think that's a fourth, fifth round pick in a second round, and I get it's a 14 team, but I can't get there on him. And I don't love Trayvon Henderson in the second round, but you have the 3-1, and you kind of go, if you reverse those picks, and you go on Kenneth Walker and Henderson, I wouldn't have hated it as much. So I have to kind of count them as equal. But they were the ones that really standed out for me as like, I just don't know with the way that the board's gone that's the way we do it. I think the wide receivers is very chalky. Like, I look at that and I think Lamb over Jefferson, I wouldn't do it, but okay, I don't hate it. Like, I'm not quite there, but fine. You know, Colin, and Lamb's like 3, so it's like, okay, it's not terrible. If you have a preference, go get your guy. Collins, Neighbors, St. Brown. London's the only one that kind of just screams out at me and goes, that's a little out of whack. And I like London. I like him in the second. I think you could have waited. Puka, Brian Thomas, AJ Brown is a little high, but not stupid high. I think it's all fine. Those are the picks I kind of look at and think, off. I don't think there's a trash pick in here. I'll caveat that and say the only pick that I would say I'm a little concerned about is Chuba Hubbard. I think the rest of them are first or second round picks. It's just where you take them. So
yeah, I mean, and you're not gonna. I mean, if you're drafting at the turn, you got like 28 picks to get back to you. So sometimes you take your guy. Not saying, not trying to help myself out there. Yeah, maybe some Canadian bias with Chuba Hubbard there. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I agree. Yeah, I mean, running backs were just flying off our board and not the order I expected, but it was really, some good wide receiver values a little bit later. And that's how I felt at the turn. I'm like, all right, why not just take a stab at 2 upside guys? But let's get right into the middle rounds then. All right, let's do the same thing, zooming out by 2 more rounds. So let's go through, we'll call the middle round of the draft 3 through 6. So give me your best pick or picks of that whole middle chunk, the important chunk of the draft here.
Kenneth Walker at the 3-1. I mean, it's not value, but I like that. I think there's a top 12 player in there. James Conner, similar. Alvin Kamara, similar. You know, I that run of running backs here of Walker, Conner, Hall, I'm a little concerned about, but I don't hate it. Cook, Kamara, Pollard. I'm kind of in on any and all of those guys. Not so much Hall, but the other 5, I think, are all really good running backs. There's a little bit of preference there. Which way do you kind of go? It's not a problem. The same with the wide receivers in this round. Adams, Evans, McLaurin, Wilson. Yeah, I kind of like all those guys there. That's all right. The tight ends was interesting to see McBride over Bowers.
Yep.
I'm a little more down on McBride than the consensus. And the reason for this is that he had a monster year because Marvin Harrison Jr. was brand new in the NFL. He was acclimatizing. But he's going to be better. So he's going to earn more targets, which means they're only going to come from one place, and they're going to come from Trey McBride. Now, if he doesn't get in the end zone, he gets less targets, he becomes less productive. I can't get there as tight end 1, but I get people are enamored. I love the pricing forcing of Tyreek Hill at 4-5. I get it. There's risk to this, but you're talking at this point, you're 42 picks in for a potential top 12 player.
Yep.
Like, there's a risk, of course there is, but I love the enforcement of the pick here that just is too low for a Tyreek Hill. And what he could be and what he has been. So I really like that pick. I love the Xavier Worthy pick at 4-13. Think that's solid. I love the Sutton pick. There's so much of this that's really good, right? There's no real, like, truly horrible picks at this stage in this part of the draft. But there's also, as a result of that, there's not many picks I go, wow, you got screamingly, like, monster value on those picks. Because they kind of it is a very chalky board, but I think everyone's done a really good job. What I would say from an outsider's perspective, having done your draft for the last 3 years, the level of research and the level of, like, you could tell the competitive level has gone up a bit, right? People are
I
actually
agree. I was impressed this year. I'm like, man, these are just picks flying off the board. I thought I'd be able to get some of these guys later, but everybody, I was impressed by everybody holding off on tight ends and quarterbacks until so late.
Absolutely. There's no wild pick here. There's like ones I've highlighted a bit early, but it's not wild here. Like I don't look at any of these picks and think, oh man, someone's done a horrific job here and just gone well awry. So so as a result, it's really hard to pick favorites. I think Tyreek Hill, is probably the standout pick to the risk reward factor, which I kind of like. I love the Jerry Jeudy pick late 6. I love the Chris Olave pick, sort of early mid 6 as well. I think that they're great picks. Criminally underrated, undervalued players in that regard. So they're the ones I kind of look at and think they're the ones I love.
Well, let's flip it around then. Was there anyone here 3 through 6 who you're saying, all right, this is still just a reach or a guy I just do not want on my team?
Yeah, the Ted McMillan one's really interesting because at this point of the draft, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, cool, there's a few guys I'd have over Ted. And again, I'm just kind of out on Carolina, right? I just don't think they're any good. I don't think Bryce Young's any good. I don't think that they're going to win many games. I don't think the defense is any good. I don't think the offense is particularly good. I've got no faith in Dave Canellis, and as a Buccaneers fan, and having seen him coach the most basic scheme I've ever seen, I just kind of I don't really want there's one player on the Carolina Panthers who I will take in the very last round of drafts because he's literally free, and I figure that someone has to be good on that team, and that's Jadavian Sanders. The rest of them, I kind of just don't care. Ted McMillan might be great. He might be great. But who's he getting balls from? He's getting balls from Brian. And it's the same last year when I talked about Marvin Harrison Jr. Okay, great. He's got to work. He's a great player. There's no doubt Ted McMillan's a great player. But who's on the other side? Coker's on IR. Hunter Renfrow. I like Hunter Renfrow, and I'm personally very sympathetic. He's got the same medical condition I have. So I'm very, rooting for him. But he's been out of the league for a long time, and that takes a while to get going.
And then cut from the team and then brought back. Cut from the team, and now you're on the starting roster. All right, get out there.
Kind of tells you that they don't value you that much.
Yeah.
So you got Xavier Legette, who's done nothing in the NFL. You've just got the same problem. The easiest way to just deal with Tet is just double cover him and just let Bryce Young try and beat you. I don't have any confidence that happens. So and that's it. It's not the player, and I just can't get there. And probably similar with Pickens.
Interesting. Pickens was one of the fantasy darlings, it seemed like, especially later in the offseason, right? He was really rising.
But whenever there is a fantasy darling, that bubble always bursts.
Yep.
And the prices just got too high, and I can't get there. For me, give me Worthy, give me Sutton, give me at least a Booker. I could see a pathway early season to him being relevant, and he's a special player. And when you're on the field and you're earning, it could continue. Give me Ridley, give me Flowers, give me Jameson Williams, give me DJ Moore. I'm having all those guys over the Pickens and McMillan picks. They're the kind of ones for me I look at and go, no thanks. The real worst pick, though, I've just seen it. Is Jordan Love. Oh, man.
Yes, I'm so happy you saw that.
And you can tell this is a Packers fan, right? Because to take Jordan Love at quarterback 6 is just wild. It's just, I can't believe I missed it because I was like, 3 quarterbacks in round 5 kind of makes sense. And then I've just seen, and I'm like, I don't get it. What you? He's a Packers fan, right? He has to be going him and Golden back to back. It's go get your guy, but man, you could have waited 5 to 7
Probably the whole
rounds.
draft. He probably would have been undrafted,
Yeah.
perhaps. But, he
Yeah.
said he was just queuing up all the Packers and then didn't even realize it was his draft spot. And,
Oh,
that's what happens when you
I
queue
mean,
up your team.
what I would say is his first 4 picks are pretty decent. So at least and Love's not terrible. He's just very middle of the road in terms of fantasy. And
That's
I
right,
like
that's
him
right.
more as a real quarterback than I do as a fantasy quarterback. He's just very middle of the road, and that's fine. But don't draft him that high.
Yeah.
The players you've missed out on are wild.
But great first 4 picks. So there you go, Brent. It's not all down.
It's not all downhill.
Yeah.
I'll roast you later for some of the other later ones, but just for that, yeah.
All right. Let's get into the later rounds then. Beyond round 6, do you have a top late round flyer who somebody really got a steal with, and then who should have just stayed undrafted? Give me, if you can do it, 1 or 2 for each side of that.
Okay. I don't think it's a steal, but the player, I think, yeah, it'd be probably a little more than a couple, but I'm going to keep it short.
Sure.
I love Jacory, Cross-Get Merritt, obviously the pathway to him clearing up. I think it's I don't have a problem with it being this early. Yeah, it's earlier than ADP. ADP kind of reflects everything, but I actually think I do genuinely love that pick. I just think there's a pathway to him being a top 24 running back, and you're getting him at RB 30-ish in the 8th, 9th round.
He was in the 110s, so actually below even, best ball ADP at least now.
Yeah, so I love that pick. I think that just kind of stands out. Go get a guy who can make a significant impact later in the season. And then that sprinkles through with some of these, like the Judkins pick I love. I think that's so late. That's beautiful. Scalabo pick looks good. I think there's some really good, the running back picks are mostly pretty good here. I love the Pittman. The Pittman pick at 9-1 for you is just insane. I have him as wide receiver 23, and wow. I get that I'm aggressively ranking him over everybody else.
Yep.
But everyone just hates Daniel Jones, and I actually don't mind Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is the best thing that's going to happen to Michael Pittman since, I don't know, they invented a toaster to toast bread. I genuinely think that Daniel Jones unlocks Michael Pittman. People forget that Michael Pittman was paid over $80 million. He is paid as one of the top receivers in the league.
2 years ago, he was way up there in dynasty rankings too, as a top wide receiver. Not top, but he was in that mid tier of a guy you really wanted, and then somehow it just seems like he's completely fallen off.
Yeah, 100% that. So I think that's a really big one. So I'm really in for that big time. I think that's a great pick, and I love the Eric Iodamanoa pick. I think he's actually going to be really good.
And a Canadian.
Top pick. I think he is going to be. I think he's going to be a guy to really watch on this roster for sure. They're kind of the ones that kind of stand out to me. The steals, Sean Tucker could be a real steal. I think that Rashad White has a danger of not being a thing. I love the strategy of, and I love because I can tell you what. Is it Greedy Committee's done? Oh, no, they didn't because they took a kicker. What Greedy Committee should have done here? They took Tajay Spears, which I love, right? I'm taking him late everywhere. And then what I do is I put him on the IR and then I don't draft the kicker. And then I just pick the kicker up. And then he drafted the kicker. But if he had done that,
had half the strategy there, but just didn't fully complete it. Maybe next year, yeah.
I think there's a bit of play there in Tony Pollard that you've got to be a little careful.
For sure.
About. So, and the IU pick's similar. Again, I love that pick. If you can get through the first 6 weeks, I think he's going to add a lot of value. To get him that late is huge. So I feel like there's some really good value picking here with people that have just kind of looked at who they can pick up and get. I love the fact you also didn't take a quarterback until the 15th round.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw them going, I was like, all right, there's going to be a few guys that are all roughly similar. Let's just completely punt the position and see who I can.
I'll give one more. CJ Stroud in the 14th round. I think he's a top 12 quarterback this year.
That's a bold take. All right, I will love to see if that holds true. All right, awesome selections. Is there anyone who you're like, all right, especially even not a final few rounds pick, but anyone you're like, okay, this guy should have basically just stayed undrafted?
It's deep league, right? So it's hard to really call out these like late
Yeah,
picks.
undrafted is maybe a little bit of a stretch. That's
Yeah,
true.
I mean, like, because I'd say like Alec Pierce, Isaac Tesla, I'm just not in on. But when you're taking them, there's like very little option left. Like, it's not really. Trey Harris, I think, went a little high. I don't think he's a thing this year. Romeo Dobbs, kind of the same. I don't think he's a thing this year. Those two look particularly bad for me. Yeah, I that's kind of it. Hollywood Brown is not really ever a thing. So, and Antonio Gibson, he's not going to do anything.
Yeah, that was a bit funny to see him on a draft board again. But yeah,
yeah, it was. I was a bit like, oh, okay, people are still drafting him in 2025. That's
yeah.
cool. And you're going to hate this. I'm just not in on the Blake Corum. I kind of get it because you got if Kyron Williams goes down, he's like the handcuff and it's late. But
yeah, I'm not even sure why I did that. He's getting dropped right away for a kicker. So by the time Sunday starts,
I think he's going to go very quickly from the roster. But yeah, I think the tight ends. I got to say the tight end drafting in this group is pretty good. Like it's pretty class. I don't think there's anything out too far out of whack. Maybe McBride going 1. There's a few that go a bit like later or earlier than others that I'm like, okay. But I don't.
But people held off on pulling the tight end trigger too. That was pretty impressive, right?
And at that point, if you've got a guy like I wouldn't take Goddard over Engram, but if he's your guy, I also don't hate it. Like, and there's not a tight end here that's been drafted that I think shouldn't have been drafted, so that feels pretty good. And then just the usual, why are you taking a kicker in round 10? Like that's just I'd like. Why are you taking defenses in round 11 and 12? Like, we're just going to fall out. And, I think other than that, I genuinely think that this league has leveled up significantly in the last 12 months. So kudos to all of you, man. Because, like, earlier, like, I could really roast some of you guys. But
yeah,
there is not as much to kind of pick from this year in terms of terrible picks. I mean, the Jordan Love one is definitely the worst pick of the draft. But
if you remember last year, he's the same guy who drafted Luke Musgrave in the 5th or something. So
yeah,
same reason. But everybody I bet was probably just scared about being roasted by you, and so they're like, "All right, we gotta."
I think that's the case, man.
Yeah.
But I think no kudos. I have to say it's a very good draft board. 14 teams leagues. It's up. There's long waits. There's a lot of restraint, but I think everyone did a really good job. I think this is a really competitive league. I was trying to work out who my, and I'm just sort of preempting the question of who my favorite is.
Let's zoom out.
I think it's hard, man. I genuinely like. I know who I think is gonna finish like bottom 2.
Let's start with who lost the league at the draft. Yeah. But just to qualify that. Just so you know, whoever Murf is about to call out here, you don't need to feel so bad because last year your picks were 2 of your 3 picks, Mike and Aaron, Baskin Dobbins and that one particular Harbaugh on this board, were your worst 2 picks of the draft, and they went on to be the finals in the championship together with Aaron taking it home. And then, of course, you did have Sarah Je suis une Anana on this board, finishing in 13th place. So you had that one right. However, there you go. Maybe this is actually a boon for you.
I was gonna say it almost feels like it's something that I feel like they worked extra hard. Like they
that's right.
I actually felt like I should get a cut of the winnings. Like I've motivated you. I'm like your sideline coach. I'm like the Bill Belichick of this league. Like no days off, not good enough. Where's your football intelligence? Like,
all to rub it in your face right on the last day. We called that out for sure in the last pod with Aaron winning. Don't you worry.
100%. So I like the ones I just am not in on. Dan Daniels and Baskin Dobbins. Sorry, I've said Baskin Dobbins again. I just it's not terrible, but I feel that running back room is one piece away from just total collapse. And you might hit it on the waiver wire, and good luck to you. But again, the wide receiver room I think is weak.
That's what happens when you take early tight end and quarterback, even in the fourth, right?
That's hamstring you, and it has shown significantly. You're going to need waiver wire help. And Damn Daniels again. yeah, I just struggle with some of the pieces here. I don't see the upside play. Although there is a few. The first 4 picks are really good. There is some pathways to success, but it's going to take um, a bit of surgery and reconstruction on this roster. So those two for me are the picks. I'm
All
like,
right, there we go. Dan Daniels, aka Brent, and Mike, our second place finisher from last year. You guys lost the league at the draft. Let's see if that can be motivation for you moving forward, just like it was well for you again, Mike and Aaron last year. Which turns us around to the final question: who won the league? Who is the obvious fantasy champ at the draft? And once again, last year the pick was Nick, who's the O Cups here for the best draft, and he finished in 11th. So things can turn around real quick, but that's it. We're calling it right now. Who won the league?
oh, see, it's tough. I do like Nick's draft, but I think he's a wide receiver, like an elite wide receiver short. Um, yeah, I this is going to be really tough, man. I would probably like if I had to be strangled into a
You have
pick
to.
here. Yeah, good, fine. That I just had confirmation that had to be the case. I'm in on two, right? One is, and this isn't rigged, is you, Ben. I do like your draft.
Wow. I'll take it.
I think you got good balance. I do think you're going to need to hit another running back, but I think the pathways are there, especially when Henderson takes over. I think it could be a slow burn for your team, but you've got my DSTF choice if you're going late in Arizona, which I
For
think
week
is
one, absolutely. Yep.
is a good pick. I love the wide receiver room here. I love the upside that you've got here. I think there's a lot of room, but I also say it's very thin. It's a bit of House of Cardsy. Like I think
For
it
sure.
could all tumble really quickly. The other one here, I have to say is Daniel's Dandy team. Right, I think that they did the exact same thing that Baskin Robbins did, where they Dobbins did, where they did the tight end and the quarterback.
Matching first 5 positions in their first 5 picks. Pretty funny.
But
Yeah.
they have really lovely balance. Again, running back short, so they're gambling on the fact that someone's going to come on the waiver wire, right? But the receiver core is elite. It's really, really good. There's not a lot of depth to this team, and again, a couple of injuries. It wouldn't shock me. We did this show a year from now, and we go, yeah, they finished 12th, and I go, okay, well, injuries derailed this team like horrifically. But at the same point, I think like it's in a good spot for sure. I probably the other one I would call out. I think would be Fear Boners. I think they've got the makings of a solid team. Again, that second running back position's a little dicey. It's not terrible with Swift if he holds up. If Mason gets the job, you look at that with the upside of the receivers. The quarterback's okay. I think like that's pretty good. There's a lot of really good teams. Like I think there's probably 5 teams that if I had to name the other 2, I think could win it. Is Pickens my nose? I think they've got the upside there. Again, gonna need some things to go their way. And Je suis un Anas is the other one I look at and think there's good depth. It needs Hubbard and Jones to hold their own until Krosky Merrick kind of takes over.
Yep.
But I love like the late round dart throws that they've got here in like Devonta Thornton, Sean Tucker, these guys, and like Trey Benson. If something happens to Connor, they've kind of got that nice little upside balance. Again, those 2 I wouldn't call out as like immediate winners, but it wouldn't shock me if they ended up winning the league.
And there you have it. We got a clear top 5. Mike and Brent, you guys lost the league at the draft, so congratulations. You'll be in the finals at the end of the season. And, well, all right, let's do the top 3. Myself, of course. Thanks, Murf, and Daniel and Jason in the top 3 for best drafts, winning the league, or at least calling the 3 medalists at the draft. And there we have it. That is it. That is a wrap. Thank you so much, Murf, for coming on, giving us the expert level draft review we all needed, that we all come to look forward to so much each year. It's been the most hyped episode every year. I'm sure it's going to be again this year, especially with the ability to follow along with the draft board on. Any last word for the leagues?
Here's what I'm going to say, right? Have me on mid-season, right? Let's do the mid-season review, right? I want to know, pull the tables up, the rosters up. Let's do this mid-season, and I will tell you the strategy each team will need if they want to win the league.
Let's do it. We'll lock it in. We're
Lock it
leveling
in.
it up this year too. We'll get 2 times Murf on the year, giving everybody what they want. All right, there you go. You suggested it, so I'll reach out, holding you to it. I cannot wait.
Hold me to it. It's done. Let's do it.
And with that, good luck in your leagues, Murf. I will
Thank
see you in many of them. We'll have many matchups that I'll look forward to. Always love drafting with you. Thanks again for coming on, and thanks everybody for listening and watching. And we'll see you all this weekend for the games.
Good luck.